as a bookkeeper, how do I get paid? Like, what literal method do I use to collect money from clients? That is what I'm going to be talking about today. My name's Morgan and my website is finepoints.biz. Definitely consider subscribing to my channel if you want a new video about bookkeeping every single week. And a thumbs up does help me out a lot. So I am going to give you the short answer at the beginning, as I like to do, because that's what I like when I'm watching videos. Basically, it's your business. You can get paid however you want. My favorite way of getting paid is at the beginning of the month before I've done the work with a payroll service. So when my client is paying all of their employees, they also pay me within their payroll service as a contractor. But as you might imagine, there are a myriad of other ways to get paid, and different clients may prefer different things. So I'm going to talk about like 4 or 5 other ways that you can have your clients pay you. And for some reason I thought I already had a video on this, but I realized I don't. I think I've answered it in a Q&A, so check out my Q&As if you're interested in a bunch of random bookkeeper questions. And I also have 2 more videos on getting paid. I'm going to put the thumbnails right here so you can see what they look like. One is about how to pay yourself as a single member LLC, and that has to do with taking out, so once you have, you're getting paid by your clients, you have a chunk in your bank account and you want to take out your own personal salary. That's what that's about. I also have one about who pays for QuickBooks. So that's another question I get a lot. Like, do you pay for it? Do your clients pay for it? The answer is either one of you can. So I have a whole video on that. Then I also have a video that I think is super helpful and pretty detailed about pricing strategies. That's more like how to figure out how much to charge as a bookkeeper. And then also I talk about being a contractor versus an employee in that one. So those are 3 other videos that you might want to watch after this one. So method 1 is recording your time and then sending an invoice to your client and using a payment processing system. So this is how I started out as a bookkeeper. I charged hourly, which now, again, I prefer a fixed rate pricing method, which I talk all about in that pricing video. But occasionally I still charge by the hour now, especially if I don't know how long something's going to take or if it's a newer client. So if you want to charge by the hour, you can track your time within QuickBooks. And then that time tracking, so you write how much time you spent, you can write down what you did, and then all that time data will feed into an invoice in QuickBooks. And then you can email that invoice or you can mail it to your client. And then in my QuickBooks, I have set up the QuickBooks payment processing system. And there are a variety of different options you can use, you can research. There's probably different fees and different perks to different ones. But I just thought it was easier to keep it all within QuickBooks. Their pricing is fairly competitive. So they take out a small card processing fee when my client pays with a credit or debit card, which I think is pretty normal. If I email them an invoice, there's a little button that my client can click that says pay now or something like that. So then they just get out their card, their debit card, and their credit card, and they just put in their payment information, and then it is deposited into my bank account. And you could definitely use the same payment processing system through QuickBooks. Even if you weren't being paid by the hour, you could still just every month, you charge your client $500, they get an invoice automatically, and then they pay it. If your client doesn't care about getting an invoice, maybe you can put it in your contract that you just charge them that set amount every month through your payment processing system. All right, the second method is an ACH bank transfer. So this is very celebrated in bookkeeping circles as a great way to get paid. For some reason, I personally haven't had that much success doing it. I don't know why, because it's supposed to be free and then it's just kind of like transferring from one bank to another. So again, I recommend getting paid upfront before you do the work with a fixed amount. So in theory, you could set it up for that $500, that $750, that $200 being transferred every single month at the beginning of the month. When I was trying to set this up with my bank, it cost money. And I don't know if I wasn't explaining what I wanted or if it was just my bank. Something was happening where it was not a free and easy tool, as I've been told. So as you might find as a business owner and probably in life, sometimes you just start researching something and then when you come to roadblocks, you just go another direction. So that's kind of what I did. Let me know in the comments if you use those bank transfers and if it's free and easy. Maybe that's something I should go back to. For some reason, I was literally talking to the banking lady on the phone. She was trying to help me, but it wasn't a good fit. So I actually am super curious if you guys have made that work. But that is the number 2 option. Number 3 is through your client's payroll service. As I mentioned at the beginning, this is my new favorite way. So most of my clients, I do not do manual payroll as a bookkeeper, but they use a payroll service. So you can use that through QuickBooks or an outside payroll service. And if your client has employees, which I think all of my clients do have employees, then the payroll service should give you an option to pay someone as a contractor. So I'm not an employee, I'm not getting a W-2 at the end of the year, but there's a separate little section that you can do pay a contractor. So now every month as we're doing payroll, it's just automatic that bam, pay my bookkeeper. That is just one of their expenses. If my clients want an invoice, I'll send them an invoice. But if they don't really care, it's one less thing for me to do. So I don't even really need to send an invoice in that case. They just know this is the amount that I'm paying every month for my bookkeeper. So I forgot to mention a really obvious way to get paid, and that is with an good old-fashioned check. I have been paid very often with checks. Sometimes my clients just prefer that. And of course, you know kind of the pros and cons of checks. The pro is that there's no fees. Sometimes it's easier just for clients to write you a check if they're in the habit of doing that for other vendors, and I usually just tell them that's fine. And then the cons is that it can take longer to get the money, especially if they're mailing a check or if you need to go to the bank. Usually I just do mobile deposits now, but check is definitely a very viable option if that is easy for you and your clients as a way to get paid. All right, and now we are getting into kind of the realm of the digital payment processing options. So you probably know about even more than the ones I'm going to mention, but Venmo, I read their the fine print, and you're not supposed to use it for business. So I never use Venmo for business, and I encourage my clients not to use it as well. I think Venmo has a separate platform that is Venmo for business or something. So make sure you're following the guidelines of what is appropriate and what is not when using Venmo for business. And then PayPal obviously is another really popular one. I shy away from that just because I don't love PayPal's platform, and I had a client who was an Etsy seller who used PayPal, and it was a huge headache to be a bookkeeper for PayPal, and so I'm just not super excited about that platform. I've never used it to get paid as a bookkeeper. For my YouTube channel, I am set up on PayPal for some of the affiliates that I use, and that seems to work out fine. I get paid through PayPal usually for that. But it's not something I super recommend to you that you seek out as a bookkeeper, because I think there's better options. And then the other one that comes to mind is Square. I haven't used this personally to collect money, but I've used it to pay people. So do some research on that if that's something you're looking at. And then I did find this list of 10, payment alternatives. I think there's an Amazon Pay. There's different options you can use that I'll link in the description box if you want to do research on those. And again, make sure that you're reading the fine print to make sure that it's okay for business. Definitely let me know in the comments what you are using as a bookkeeper. I'm curious on what kind of the most popular things are. Maybe I'll do a poll in my community tab as well to see what payment processing you guys are using or how you're getting paid. Again, a thumbs up helps this video a lot. It helps other bookkeepers see it. So I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next week.